Hello everyone, and welcome back to the second part on how to create a secure logging system. In the first part, we validated every input field and used prepared queries to register a user in the users table. In this part, we are going to log in and log out the user that we have created. Let's jump to the logging page. Again, we have here only the HTML and CSS code. If I click on the submit button, nothing works. So let's jump into the editor and get this logging form working. Well, I have two files open in my editor. The file that we see right now is the logging page, which contains a login form. And the other file is our functions.php file, in which we write our functions. In the first part, we wrote the connect and the register user function. In this video, we are going to write the login and logout functions. Now let's see our logging form. Again, we have an empty action attribute and the HTTP method is set to post like we had in the register form. Inside the form, I have an input field with a name attribute set to username. I have a second input field with a name attribute set to password. I have a submit button. The name attribute is set to submit. Next, I have a link to send the user to the register page and a link to send the user to the forgot password page. And last, I have a p tag in which we will display an error if the submitted data are incorrect. When the user logs in successfully, we will redirect him to the account.php page. Let's open the account.php page and let's see what we have there. I have a greeting to the logged user. I will replace the word user with a user's username. I have a link to log out the user and a link to let the user delete his account. Now let's go to the functions.php file and write the login user function. The function takes two arguments. The first argument is the username and the second argument is the password. Inside the function, the first thing that I will do is to connect to the database. Next, I will trim from any white space the username and the password. Next, I will check the username and password for empty values. If the username or the password is empty, I will return a message that both fields are required. Next, I will use the filter var function to sanitize the username. And I will do the same thing with the password. The filter var function will remove any harmful characters, so it will be safe to query the database. Next, I will search the database to check if the given username exists. I will use a prepared statement to be as secure as I can. First, I will write the SQL query. I will select the username and the password column from the users table where username equals question mark. Instead of the given username, I use a question mark. Further down, I will bind the question mark with a username. Next, I will use the prepare method to send the query to the database. Next, I will bind the question mark with a given username. The letter S in the first argument stands for string. Next, I'm going to execute the statement. Next, I will use the getResult method to fetch the returned result set. And last, I will use the fetchAssoc method to extract the record from the result set. Now, if the username exists in the database, the data variable is holding an associative array which holds the username and the password. If the username don't exist in the database, the data variable is holding the value null. So what I'm going to do next is to check with an if statement the data variable, and if the value is null, I will return wrong username or password. If the username exists in the database, I will verify the password. Remember that the password in the database is encrypted. I will use the password verify function in an if statement. And if the function returns false, again I will return the message wrong username or password. Else I will set the username in a user session and I will redirect the user to the account.php page. And we are done with the logging function. Now let's go to the logging.php page to complete the process. In the logging page and before any HTML code, I will open PHP tags. First, I will require the functions.php file to have access to the logging user function. Next, I will check if the form is submitted. If this is true, I will call the logging user function and I will pass in as arguments the submitted username and password. And I will catch whatever the function returns in the response variable. Now let's go to the error placeholder and output the response. The last thing that I have to do is to make the values sticky. I will go to the username field and set the value attribute to the submitted username, and I will do the same thing with the password. The add character will tell the server not to throw an error if the variable is not set. Now we are ready to test the login form. Let's bring the browser in the screen and let's log in our registered user. I'm going to leave the fields empty and I will press the submit button to check if the validation works. We see the message that both fields are required. The user that we have in the database has a username of George and a password of 1, 2, 3 and 4. But let's insert a wrong password. And we see the message wrong username or password. Now let's insert the correct password and press the submit button. We see that the user is redirected to the account.php page. But instead of welcome user, I want to display the user's username. So let's go to the account.php page and fix it. I will remove the word user and I will echo the user session. Another thing that I have to do is to make this page secure. This means that only logged in users can have access to the account.php page. So let's go to the top of the page and open PHP tags. I will check the user session and if it is not set, I will redirect the user to the logging.php page. Also, I will require the functions.php file because I need access to the logout user function that I'm going to write to log out the user. But first, let's check in the browser the account page. I'm going to reload the page and we are going to see the user's username. Nice. Now let's go to the functions.php file and write the logout user function. The first thing inside the function that I will do is to destroy the session. And next I will redirect the user to the logging.php page. And that is all the code that I need to log out the user. Now let's go back to the account.php page and add an if statement that will run if the user click on the logout link. If this is the case, I will call the logout user function. This time I'm checking if there is a GET request with a logout query string, which we have in the links href attribute. Let's check it out. I will reload the page and click on the logout link. And the user is logged out and redirected to the logging page. And that's it for today. We reached the end of the second video on how to build a secure logging system. In the next and final part, we will see how to code the forgot password action and delete the user's account. Thanks for watching, hope you liked the video, see you in the next one.